Welcome to Meliora's channel, your go-to place for C# and data analysis tutorials, products hands-on demos, and insider secrets to keep you at the cutting edge of innovation. Our goal is to break down complex tech topics to a level that you will easily understand to supercharge your skills. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Hello, welcome to Meliora's channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing the overview of ERP solutions. If you are working in a corporate organization that is about to implement an ERP solution, then you are just on the right channel at this moment, because in this channel, we are going to provide you a lot of insights that will be useful to you and the organization on your ERP implementation journey. If you're also working in a corporate organization that has already implemented ERP, but as expected is having some challenges post-implementation on stabilizing the solution, and then also ensuring that the user adoption level is at the highest level possible, you are also on the right channel at this moment, because you will equally get a lot of tips from this channel on how you can improve user adoption post implementation. And so I would urge you to subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so, and also to click the notification symbol so that all our subsequent videos, once they are published, you will be notified, and you can quickly take advantage of the information that will be on those videos. So without further ado, let's dive in and discuss ERP overview, which is the focus of this video. So I like always to discuss ERP overview in the context of the business. So I would like to first of all discuss what is business, and then from there the discussion would dovetail into ERP smoothly, and hopefully that would facilitate even better understanding or deeper understanding of ERP in itself. So what is a business? The business is basically an entity. Basically, this business is basically an entity that takes some input, applies some processing steps to those input materials, and generates finished products as output. And those finished products are then marketed and sold in order to generate revenue for the business. So the business definitely expects in this sort of model, in the context of this, the business is expected to have products which they sell in order to generate revenue for the organization or the business entity. And then the inputs are such that depending on the model of the business, then what appears in the input might be different. So, for instance, if this is a production business, if the model of this business is such that it is producing something, so in that production model, then the business inputs will then be raw materials, which they would have to procure. And those raw materials will then have to be processed and packaged, where relevant, into finished products. And these finished products will then be marketed and sold. Some other business model may be just to source products from locations where those products are abundant and therefore cheaper. And just straight away add markup to the cost of purchase and sell off those products in locations where those products are scarce and therefore expensive. And that could be another business model. Then another business model could actually be just source these products, add some value to the products, and now sell this newer version of these products and sell it at a margin, at a profit, at a given margin. So that makes the value or the price slightly more than the cost of acquisition. So you can operate a business according to several models. So the service provider model here is actually also about probably just partnering with providers of certain specific set of services and then offering that service to a population, to the public within your own location. So that's another business model. So, but the key here is that for every business entity, you actually have some inputs that will then lead to some outputs. And those outputs are what you then market to the public in order to generate revenue for the organization. And then for specific sort of models, when you get this input, you would go through some sort of processing of those inputs, or even or even packaging of those inputs in order to generate a finished product which will then be marketed. And in that business context, if the business model is actually the production model, then you would definitely, as part of the business entity, have equipment and machinery, and even buildings like facilities like the factory itself, the factory building itself, that would be part of that business entity, because the processing would have to take place in that factory and by those equipment. So this is business in totality. So, but in order to operate all these that we have mentioned, then you have to have people. You have to have people. And that's human resource or human resources. So you then therefore need to have a human resource department. And human resource department will then be responsible for sourcing and recruiting competent people, or people that have the different skills that are required in order to run these operations end-to-end successfully. So human resources department is key to every business entity. It is definitely a department that you have to have and because you're producing products, and these products has to be sold, in order to generate revenue for the business, then you equally need to have sales and marketing department that will be directly responsible for finding markets for these products in order to enable sales deals to happen. We also mentioned that equipment, machineries will be part of this business entity, especially if the business model is that of production. So in order to ensure minimum breakdowns for these machineries and ensure consistency of availability of these machines, in order to ensure consistency of production, and then also ensure consistency of product availability, then these equipments will have to be maintained periodically. And this maintenance activity, because of this maintenance activity, you need to have a maintenance department. And this maintenance department will be saddled with that responsibility of ensuring that there is no unexpected breakdowns for these machines or for these facilities, in order to enable continuous availability of products all the time. So maintenance is also key in terms of function, especially if the model of the business is that of production. If you have projects, if you are in a business where development of new products are actually done under projects, then you will need a project management department. And that project management department will be saddled with the responsibility of specifying the project management system or project management framework that will guide all project execution, or it will guide execution, the setup and execution of projects within the entity. So there will be that the projects that would generate new products that will be added to the portfolio of products for the business, or even projects that will deliver additional infrastructure, like additional factory, new factory, to the assets of the business. So whichever type of project, it is important that you have a project management function or department that will provide all the necessary project management, provide the project management framework that would guide that implementation to successful completion. So that framework will provide all the necessary templates, that the necessary processes that the execution of that project, of any project, will have to go through in the organization. Because you will also, the entity will also be purchasing, acquiring raw materials again for the production model of the business, which would then be processed into finished products. Then the sourcing and procurement of these raw materials will need to be handled by a department. And therefore, you need that supply chain department to be handling sourcing and acquisition of these raw materials and even products. However, these service providers, so these services that you need to, that you if you're in the business of service provision, you need to you need the supply chain department to broker those kind of deals that will then enable you to resell those services, essentially. So you also need to have a logistics department to enable you actually move raw materials from other locations, from either vendor locations to your own sites where they are needed. But you also need them to equally move products from your own location to the location of your customers. You equally need finance, because when you are procuring raw materials, you're spending money. And when you are selling finished products, you're actually generating revenue. So whether you're spending, whether it's cost to the business or is revenue to the business, those activities that generate revenue or generate costs or expenditure would have to be managed by finance. So you need finance department. And all the necessary books that needs to be periodically generated in the course of running these business operations will also need to be generated by finance. So you really need the finance department to run these operations successfully. And the IM&T organization, on the other hand, would be required to provide all the necessary systems, software application systems, or software infrastructure, IT infrastructures to improve, to support the running of these operations smoothly, and in a lot of cases to improve it and make it more efficient. Also, you would have the strategy and planning function, which will help to ensure that the business entity is constantly and consistently moving towards achievement of the business objectives and the vision for which it was set up. The strategy and planning function is there to drive the organization towards those targets. And finally, you have the core business department, which will be named according to what the business model actually dictates. So in a production model, where the business is actually producing something, this core business is usually referred to as the production department. So the core business here will just be trained to production in the case of a production model. So where the business buys raw materials, processes those raw materials in order to produce some finished product. So in that case, the core business will actually be labeled as production. And what goes on in here is usually refers to as the production operations. So in the context of non-ERP environment, what usually happens here is that the various departments will document their business processes, which are the steps they go through day to day to execute their daily activities. So they document those business processes, and in order to improve the efficiency with which they operate, they will then, in collaboration with the IMT department, the Information Management and Technology Department, create a number of tools, especially software applications, that would focus on addressing different improvements within the processes within their own department. So human resources, for instance, would, in collaboration with IMT, generate a number of applications that will help them address or manage different aspects of the business processes or business process steps within the human resources department. And so would the production operations on the core business do, and so will sales and marketing and the rest of the departments. So what then happens is that you have a plethora of applications across all the departments, and each of those focusing on just what it is meant to address, with very minimal integration even within departments, and definitely, absolutely zero integration across departments. And that is the non-ERP business organization for you. So an organization that has the non-ERP environment within a business organization for you. And that is what you see. So an organization that is yet to implement ERP. So now, if you move on to when this particular hypothetical organization then implements, or hypothetical business entity then implements ERP, what you will then begin to see is that in every department, there will be a single ERP module that can actually handle virtually all the steps in the processes that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So human resources, for instance, will have a human resource module that would have sub-modules, if you like, or sub-systems that will address everything within the human resource management, with management steps, the human resource department process steps. So you have that module, the ERP module, that would address everything within it. And so would it be with supply chain. You have an ERP module that handles everything supply chain, an ERP module that handles everything logistics, sales and distribution, and all the way around every other department that exists in that organization as we outlined, the typical one. But the very important thing to note here is that there is the finance module right at the center. And it's at the center because every other department's operation within the modules meant to support those departments, there's a natural integration between that module and finance. So whatever is done in those modules, anything financial that appears within the operation or the steps or the business process steps that has been captured would automatically flow into finance module in the appropriate registers. So if in human resources, for instance, the staff is entitled to certain allowance, and that allowance is initiated for payment to that staff and approved, then that financial aspect of the record will be automatically posted into the finance, the appropriate register within the finance module. The same thing if a part is to be replaced in an equipment, for instance, through the plant maintenance module, if a part is identified that is faulty in an equipment and is to be replaced, then that cost associated with the replacement of that part would automatically be posted behind the scenes into the finance module. So the records of maintenance and all that will remain here, but the finance and then also the value associated with that maintenance would also be here. But all the values, the monetary values, will, in addition to being here, will also be written into the appropriate registers within finance. And that's the core. And that's the beauty of ERP. So for an ERP, integration with finance module is almost default. So every module is integrated to the finance module. And that is why there's always argument within the industry whether ERP solution whether every ERP solution is actually a finance solution or not. And that is also why in the industry, in many industries, the finance function always lay claim to the ownership or the custodianship of ERP solutions implemented there, because it is seen as primarily for the purpose of ensuring that the financial registers of that organization is accurate as and is whole, is total, because it will capture every transaction, every financial transaction that has occurred in any aspect of the organization or in any aspect of the module that is used in managing the different aspects of the organization. So, so in ERP, inherently, there is integration. So there is integration between there is integration within the modules. So inside each module, there will be sub-modules or subsystems. So that will then cumulatively cover the requirements of that department. But within those sub-modules, there's integration within them. But also, more importantly, there's integration between the main modules across various departments. So there will be integration between production operations module and budgeting and planning module. And so with the human resource module, and so with the supply chain module, so with logistics, and so on and so forth. So there is integration between the modules, and then there is integration with finance. So all the modules have integration with finance. All the modules have integration with itself, within itself, and then every module is integrated with other modules wherever there is need for such an integration. So all you need to do is that at the time of implementation, you need to ensure that you have an experienced integration manager that will be able to identify all those integration points that exist already across the modules, and then be able to include it in the implementation scope, especially during the business blueprinting session, so that the initial implementation or the first implementation will actually incorporate all these power, the integration functionalities that exist inherently in the solution. So, but as a way of summarizing again, within each module, there is integration within each modules between various sub-modules that make up the module. There's also integration between modules, which is now from, say, production operations to human resources. There are integrations wherever there are those integrations needed to happen. Within supply chain and the human resources, supply chain, logistics, supply chain, sales and distribution, there will be integration across all those from module to module. And then finally, there's a third integration level, which is that every module is actually integrated with finance. Every module is integrated with finance. So let's conclude this discussion by defining ERP and then summarizing what we have actually done today. So ERP is an enterprise resource planning tool, which is a comprehensive software system that integrates functional business processes into a single unified platform that serves as a central hub that ensures data flows seamlessly across departments. So this is good to highlight some key elements of this definition. So is an enterprise resource planning, which is a comprehensive software system that integrates, this is key, it integrates functional business processes into a single unified platform. This is also key. So a single unified platform. And that single unified platform serves as a central hub. This is key. A central hub that ensures data flows seamlessly across departments. So it is an integration platform that integrates all the business processes into a single unified platform. And that single unified platform will now act as a central hub that coordinates the data flow from one point within the business entity to the other. And that's exactly what ERP does. So, in summary, therefore, you notice that what is inherent in this definition is that there are inherent integrations that actually exist in a business operation. An ERP solution, ERP solution is designed to incorporate that integration inherently as well. So in a non-ERP environment, for instance, here we mentioned that each department will be focusing on just utilizing creating improvement solutions that would improve the way they work, the way they operate within their department. The little is done around integrating even the various sub-activities within the department, let alone integrating across departments. Yet, we know that the way business operation works, there are inherent integrations. For instance, if you are executing a project, if you're executing a project, you need supply chain to get the materials you need for that project. You need logistics to haul the materials to the various project sites. You need human resources to provide the personnel that you need to execute those projects. You need strategy and planning to have budgeted, made all the necessary project provisions, secure all the necessary approvals for that project to go. You need finance to be able to release the budgeted funds to ensure that you can actually purchase all the materials you need for the implementation. So you need basically everybody. You need IM&T organization to provide the necessary tools that will support you to effectively manage the project execution. So you need everybody. So everybody, there's that innate integration in the way business operations work. If you're, for instance, within the production operations area, the core business, for you to run the production operations, you also need supply chain to have acquired all the materials you need for that production operations. You need maintenance to be ready to maintain the various equipment that you use for that production operations, so that the operation will be continuous without any unexpected breakdowns causing halting production. You need logistics to haul the materials from wherever they are purchased or the warehouses they are to the production operation sites where they will be needed. You need human resources to provide people. So again, you need IMT to also provide and support the necessary technology tools that you might need to run this operation. So again, you see that natural need for integration across the various units within the business entity in order to run a particular operation successfully. But unfortunately, in reality, the various efforts that each department puts in place in order to improve the way they work, most of the time do not take into consideration the need for this integration. They don't take into consideration this integration. And that is the gap that ERP then came to fill. So as this definition actually highlights, The ERP solution comes in modular forms, and each department in a typical ERP solution will have a corresponding module that actually fulfills all the process requirements of that department, and with all the inherent integration. So the integration, there's a supposed integration between production operations module with human resources module, and vice versa with supply chain modules and vice versa, and with all the modules. And the same is applicable to every module. So each module is integrated with every other module that exists. But beyond module to module integration, there is also module to finance integration. So every module is integrated to finance, so that any finance element, any finance or financial value that is part of any step, any action, or any transaction posted within any of the modules, that financial value element of that posting would smoothly be transferred as part of this integration to the relevant ledgers within finance. For instance, if in a plant maintenance, for instance, if you execute a maintenance activity, that maintenance activity will have a cost. So now that cost would be here that they perform the maintenance activity, this maintenance activity on a particular equipment, and the cost of that maintenance was, some value. So that value will still remain here in this plant maintenance model. The record will be there, but that value alone will be taken into finance and also posted to the relevant ledgers, the relevant ledger within finance to capture that transaction. So anything you do, the same way if you purchase any item through supply chain, the records of that purchase will be in supply chain management module, but the same value, the value representing that purchase, would be posted in finance in the appropriate ledger as well, so that at the end of every operational day or the fiscal period, all the activities that were captured or posted around all the modules or within all the modules that you have in your business entity, with the financial elements in those postings or transactions, would have all been captured in the relevant ledgers within the finance module. And therefore, within finance module, you would have access to everything in terms of reporting or in terms of the financial books of the organization. You will have everything that transpired in the organization within the period, the fiscal period we're looking at. So all the books can be produced from within finance module because of this integration. So that's it in summary. So the integrations are not here and not effective here because the supporting solutions did not take into consideration, especially department-to-department integration. But down here within the ERP environment, you now find that integration, module-to-module integration is in place, and then also module-to-finance integration is also in place. So, and that brings us to the conclusion or to the end of this particular video, the introduction of what is ERP video. So, thank you for listening. If you have not subscribed, I will urge you to go and do that straight away, and then also hit the notification bell so that you would get notified each time we throw in new videos, and a lot more new videos are scheduled. So I will even urge you to just go to the comment now and let us know if you're implementing ERP in your organization now, or if you're running an ERP solution in your organization now, and there is a specific challenge or topic that you would want us to discuss on the next videos, just go to the comment section and just drop that that information to us, and then we'll take it up, and then we would look into it and oblige you, most likely, to create videos that would discuss those topics. So thank you for watching, and looking forward to seeing you in the next videos. Bye for now. Thank you for watching, and if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, be sure to show us support by clicking like and subscribe. Your support helps us to bring you even better content, so stay tuned for the next exciting video. You can also click the link below to see other free and paid videos on other exciting topics. If the click did not work, kindly copy the link and paste on your browser. Thank you, and see you in the next video.